right, here is another arrival from ThreeZero. It is the Marvel Studios Captain America Civil War Iron Man Mark 46. The armor he used in Civil War. I would have liked it if some of the bits, a few more bits glowed on him, because the inspiration for this armor was the bleeding edge armor from Matt Fraction's run in the comic, which had a lot of little repulsor nodes glowing all over. You can see them molded in, little lights on the hands and such, and down on the legs and the abdomen and stuff that just don't light up on the toy. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's just I really like that design. From the comics, I really like that run of the comics. Matt Fraction is a great writer. It's because of that run on Iron Man that I read his run, him and David's run on Hawkeye, which was the basis for the TV series, based heavily on that run of the comic, which was a lot of fun as well. Anyway, cool armor. It just arrived the other day from ThreeZero. One of the things I like about it is it goes back to, if you remember on the Mark 50, I was talking about how the repulsor blast, you have to pull off a panel to turn it on, whereas this one goes back to they just push on the repulsor itself to light it up, which is nice. The helmet still has the kind of pop off the cranium and push the button right here to turn on the headlights. That is the hallmark. I think there was one that had enough of a flex in the helmet where you could just kind of push right there on the helmet and turn the lights on. But you can get them to light up. It takes 4 AG1 batteries. And they do give you, this one does come with a small little, don't lose it, a small little spudger tool for helping to get the batteries out of the body. In this case, the batteries go in the head. There's a little screw in there, and it's easy to get to the battery compartment. And for the chest, instead of coming apart again with the chest panel in the front, you pop them apart at the torso like you do with the Mark 42 to put it into the Hulkbuster. And then there's a screw right here, and you can pop the battery pack out that has it. This little red cover comes off, and the battery pack's right under there for this version of the figure. Speaking of the Mark 50, here they are side by side. Slightly more, like I said, slightly more organic looking armor there in the 50 with the nanotech armor. Although again, while the head is the same, where you just pop this off and push a little button up in there to light up the eyes, on the 50 you have to pop this whole chest plate off in order to access, and again, there are the screws to access the battery compartment, and then push a little button inside here, which works. It glows. It looks good. It's a nice effect. I just wish they could have worked in the same gimmick on this one as they do with this one, where you just push on the repulsor to light up that chest piece. Let me see if I can't dim a light here, and you can really see them. See if they really tell that they're glowing. But yeah, they light up quite nicely. Ooh, getting some lens flare on the 46 there. This is J.J. Abrams in the MCU. Anyway, but there's the two of them together for a quick comparison. Now, you don't get as many. You get 8 extra hands. There's not quite as big of a variety in the hands as there is with the 50, because you're basically getting you got the fists that come attached. You've got kind of a loose open palm and more of a grasping open palm on each side, like this. You see there's kind of a relaxed hand versus a more active curved fingertips hand, and you're basically getting those in both shiny painted repulsor varieties as well as the empty hole for repulsor blast variety. So you've got basically 3 hand models, 4 of which, 2 on each side, have holes to put in a repulsor blast effect. Which looks something like, let's go ahead and pop this off. Just pop this off at the ball joint, pop a new hand back on, and you can put his hand up. Oh, careful, careful. There we go. And plug a repulsor blast into it and have him shooting like that. Also, he has holes in his feet, so you can put, again, 2 repulsor blasts on there. You can't make him stand like that, but he also has the same pop off this part of his back plate here, and he does come with the same kind of adjustable And again, if any of these joints are loose, all of them have screws, a little adjustable stand that you can plug in here for flying poses. It seems to plug in a little bit more securely on this one than it did on the 50. But if you want to have him flying in the air, shooting repulsor blast, admittedly, that's not the most dynamic pose, but you can get quite a few out of him. You can mess around with the stand and everything. It supports him fairly securely. Go ahead and preserve his dignity here. All right. You can see that. You can see how all these panels are moving out of the way. There's a few. These panels right here. Several of these panels like to pop off because there's a lot of panels that move and they're on double hinges. Like there's a hinge. There's a hinge on one end and a clip onto a bar, essentially giving you two hinges, but it will come unclipped. So sometimes when you try to move these, they will pop off. Sometimes when you try to move a piece, another piece, they will pop off inadvertently. But you can kind of bring those in to give his arms a little bit more leeway to move, although you might not want to bring them all the way like that. They've got a huge range of motion. I don't know that they really need to have that much range of motion. You don't have to pull them out that far to bring the things, but the shoulder pads, you can see, are on double hinges and can come all the way up to here, so you can get them out of the way to lift his arms up. There's these panels on the leg here, can also lift up and come forward like this. So when you bring this up like that, you can get him in some bent knee poses without shoving plastic over or under any other piece there, which is nice that that's built in, so you don't damage your figure. There's also some air brake flaps here and here on the back. Let me see if I can't get this out. Also on clips, so be careful because they also like to, if you move the shoulder in the wrong way, it'll catch underneath here and flip and pop a shoulder panel out. Just like that, because you can see the clip is right there. And if you move that shoulder pad just the wrong way or try to move the arm without making sure that shoulder pad is clear, it'll catch on the corner of that and pop it right out. But luckily they just snap right back in. But there you got a couple flaps there on the back that can open up. Also, and the extra pieces that we haven't gone over yet, you get two little forearm missile pods. And you don't want to grab it at the exact mid seam. There's a smaller seam over here just to the outside of the middle. You pop this small panel off, and then you can take this piece and plug it in right in there. And now he's got a, see, once again, forgot to move that shoulder pad out of the way. Pop that panel right out of there. Snaps right back in. But you also want to be careful. You want to bring that out like that first before you bring the arm up, because it's easy to get that. It's very easy to get, if this comes up just a little bit, to end up locking the tip of that under there. And then you want to make sure to be very careful to get that out, or you could risk scratching the paint on the top of that shoulder pad. But you can get his arm up like this, and he can be shooting missiles out of his forearm. But you've got one of those for both sides. And it's just a matter of swapping out this smaller outer panel here on the arm itself. Poseability, as you can see, he's got the ball joint at the top and bottom of the neck. He's got a good range of motion there. These panels come out, and you can see there's a kind of ab crunch, not an ab crunch, but there's a, you can see there's a hinge up in there. So you can get, that whole piece can move up and down, as well as a little crunch there. Dual swivel at the shoulder, bicep swivel, dual hinged elbows, which the armor stops them from getting a full all the way up crunched against the bicep, but you can get a pretty good range there. There's just a ball joint at the wrist, and all the hands are static poses. But you can see there's a very decent ab crunch at a couple places. He kind of bends forward, and plenty of detail there hiding in the spine when he does so. All the flaps up here. I mean, there's a little bit of a waist swivel, but again, the way the hip armor comes up, you don't get a whole range of movement out of there, but enough for, I think, most posing. You've got the double jointed hips, thigh swivel, again, those little panels here on the leg can move to allow for more range of movement there in the hip forward-wise. Dual hinge knees that expand some tech detailing as you bend them, and you can get a pretty good range of motion out of those as well. Ankle tilts, these little panels here on the foot will come up, and the front and heel to give you more range of motion in the foot, and there's an articulation there in the toe as well. But all in all, it's another nice, solid Iron Man figure from ThreeZero. They're really putting out some great stuff. I love them because they have, they feel like mini Hot Toys with a much better economy overall, both in price. I think this guy costs like about a third to a quarter of what a Hot Toys version of this armor would cost. They don't have there's not maybe quite as many gimmicks built in, maybe a few more light up points on a Hot Toy. But also they're at the much smaller 6-inch figure scale roughly. So not just economy and price, but also economy of space. You can fit a lot more of these on a shelf than you could with a Hot Toys collection. It's entirely up to personal preference. There's some I've owned some very fantastic Hot Toys figures. I'm not dissing them at all. But if you want that kind of quality, if you want that premium Iron Man armor at a fraction of the price and a fraction of the size to fit your display, this is a fantastic alternative. And I think, honestly, this is a fantastic main collection. They're putting out some really nice armors that look really nice on the shelf. But there is the ThreeZero Iron Man Mark 46 from Captain America Civil War, and thanks for watching.